Emergency. This is the theme we're listening to?
Yes.
Theme from Emergency. 411, I just think it's cool because not only is it about, firefighters, it's also about emergency medical firefighters in the early days. Love using that theme because it's time to check in with the chief, and that is Fargo Fire Chief Steve Dirksen joins us. Steve, welcome back to KFGO.
Hey, Dan. Glad to be back.
So I know I'm older than you. I find out how much older. Do you remember the television series Emergency?
Oh, very well.
Okay.
Very well. That was probably what kicked me off into this career.
Oh, is that a fact?
Yeah.
That stuff was all brand new back then when, it was very controversial when firefighters were allowed to administer medical aid to people.
Yeah, that was some groundbreaking stuff, and it dates back even into the early 50s when they first started it, but in the 60s and 70s was kind of the basis and the start of fire-based medicine.
Yeah, I remember watching it and seeing they actually had emergency medical helicopters in big metropolitan cities like that, and I was thinking, man, that'll never happen around here. And now look, the helicopters are in the sky all the time around our part of the world. So
yeah, they're flying constantly, and that's never a good sign.
No, I always think somebody had a bad car accident or something like that. At any rate, once a month, we check in with Chief Steve Dirksen of Fargo's bravest, the Fargo Fire Department. And, Steve, I wanted to start with public education today because this is the time of the year where you guys where the weather's warming up. You can get outside a little bit. There's more things going on, and you kind of start your school programs about this. Well, you kind of get back into it, I guess I should say.
Yeah, this is the kind of the time of the year where we, in the fall of the year, we're in the classroom doing things, going through a program, Learn Not to Burn with the kindergartners through second graders. And then as we progress here into the spring is the time that we bring our fire safety house around all the different schools here in town and do a fire safety message, let kids practice how to get out of a house if they're sleeping, using a ladder or, climbing out windows, those kind of things instead of the normal way out. And our crews are there, and we teach, dial 911, go to the phone. What do you need to tell the dispatch operators and those kind of things? So that's all firing up, and block parties are happening where, we quite often get invited to come and show off the equipment that the community has paid for and that we have to go out and serve them and, be around for those kind of things as well.
What is the safety house, Chief?
We have a house that's on a trailer. It was built in cooperation a number of years ago. I can't even tell you how long ago it was done with the home builders in the area here. And the safety house is, built like a miniature house. If you've ever seen the tiny house show on TV,
sure.
It's about what it is. And we have got a couple of, make-believe bedrooms and, kind of where kids can lay down or even adults, makeshift bed. And then we can either put smoke in it, or we can just set alarms off and then teach them how to, get down low, feel for heat, check the door, if they're, and then we might have a strobe flashing at them. That indicates fire's there, and that means they have to go out the window and teach them how to get out of a house. So we bring that around quite a few places throughout the year. That's
got to be fascinating, and I would wager. Let me ask you. Have you ever talked to people that got out of a house fire and turned to you and said, all of a sudden that stuff we learned from fire safety came back to us. I got on the floor. I did all those. Have you ever talked to somebody who used those things and got out of a fire?
There's some. I have had a couple people that talked to me about, just remembering what they were taught as a kid and to get low under smoke. I had a friend growing up, her hair got caught on fire from a burn barrel when they were burning at their farm, and she had remembered that she had a hoodie on, and she just pulled the hood over and saved her from getting severely burned.
Knocked out the oxygen, right?
Yep, put the fire out, and she ended up she had really long hair, and she ended up losing it, but it all grew back.
Yeah, well, really, that wouldn't happen to all of us if that were to happen today.
Right. Yep. Present company included.
Steve Dirksen is joining us. He is the Fargo Fire Chief, and we're checking in with the Chief today. So, Chief, the first thing I thought of when I stuck my head out the window today in this wind was public burning. In the red flag days that we hear about. I don't believe one today is one, but sure could have been. But these fires that get going in public burning, what are your thoughts on public burning?
There's a place for it. When you go out in the country this time of year, there's a lot of farmers and ranchers that are burning off different fields, burning up, tree groves that got pushed over, those kind of things, and fire is a good tool to use to get rid of some of those things outside of town. But we really have to watch things when we're burning, and really the wind conditions up here. There's never a day when the wind isn't blowing, I don't believe.
Right.
And the wind conditions can change like that. We might have just a small light breeze coming, and 2 hours later that thing it's roaring at 20 miles an hour and can pick up those embers and ashes and really cause a big problem, like they had down in southwestern South Dakota this last weekend. Out in Custer County, they burnt about 2,500 acres. They don't have the exact cause yet, but they do say it has a human origin. And they haven't, from what I've read from the news reports and stuff, they haven't put it to one spot, but they are confident that there was human involvement in the reason for that fire starting. And that wind picked up, and just the terrain out there where it was at made it very difficult for the 50, 60, 70 firefighters that were out there fighting the fire.
That's got to be it's so dangerous. Firefighters have been killed. I think we lose some every year during wildfire season. It's so dangerous. Chief, it's got to just drive you nuts. It's one thing to have the fire start because of human frailty, but sometimes you hear about the stories that people started those fires on purpose.
Yeah, those are really the frustrating ones. Or, maybe they started a fire and they didn't put it out properly. We've had many of those around here over the years where we've had fires on decks. Somebody thought they put their cigarette out, and, this time of year is just a great opportunity for those to happen. People maybe think about the plants that they have on their decks, whether it's their home or apartment building. That thing has been dried out all winter long. There hasn't been moisture around here for weeks that would be sustainable for plant life. And when you're putting cigarette butts or burning anything around those things are kindling and are ready to start right up. We had a fire today that was outside of a home around a deck, and one of the reports that came back, they were having difficulty trying to get the fire out. The homeowners were trying to put it out, but the wind with its blowing was pushing that fire and causing a lot of difficulty. It took our folks to be able to be there, and with a little bit more water than what they had, and we're able to get it out, save the house, but still damage done nonetheless.
That's so frightening when something like this happens and you can't get it under control, you can't get it put out. I talked to you about this earlier today, and I know that you are not an attorney, but I'd like your 2 cents anyway from the position of being the chief of the Fargo Fire Department, Steve, and that is in liability. You've been told it's a red flag day. You've been told not to burn today. And I'll give people the benefit of the doubt. They just didn't get that word, and common sense didn't come into their life that particular day, and they still go out and burn, and a fire gets away, and someone else's home burns down. Are people liable for fires like that get away?
Yeah, like you said, I'm not an attorney, and I didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But it is one of those one of those things that we'll do an investigation, and we'll complete an investigation and a report and determine the cause. Now it's going to be up to a homeowner whether they would want to bring a civil suit against their neighbor. If it was done intentionally, then we may have some legal options to go with. Endangerment by fire might be an option that's in the statute that we could kind of push forward. But again, that those are some gray areas. But definitely, I would think some insurance companies might be duking it out, trying to figure out who's going to pay if for lack of a better term, carelessness on somebody's part.
Fargo Fire Chief Steve Dirksen joining us. We're checking in with the chief today. Chief, weather's going to get better. We're going to get outside a little bit. The vaccine is helping us a ton. We're going to be able to interact again. And people are going to want Fargo firefighters to be part of their block parties, their programs that they're going on. How do people go about having members of the Fargo Fire Department come out to their event?
A great thing for folks to do is give us a call at 701 241-1540, and our administrative assistant will take the information. We'll get it on the calendar, and we're more than happy to come out and spend an hour or so out there talking about fire safety. One hot topic that we generally have at these block parties is, recreational fires. Those have, fire pits are being sold through all kinds of stores in the metro here, and people like to use that, sit around a campfire, and enjoy time with their friends and neighbors. And so we'd love to be able to put some, provide information to you. One thing on recreational fires, when you have them, it is not allowable for you to burn your yard trash in a recreational fire. A recreational fire, by ordinance in the city of Fargo, has to be, the term is clean wood, so not old construction materials, anything like that. It should be a tree with bark. It can be split, those kind of things. But we don't want lawn refuse and leaves and dead plants and things like that burnt in there, because sometimes those get to be a little more noxious and bother neighbors. They're more smoky, those kind of things. And we definitely want folks to use an approved recreational fire pit if they're going to do that. And absolutely don't have a fire pit on your deck. That is a big no-no. We get calls for that yearly.
I bet.
And so we just really encourage you to stay 25 feet away from your house or anything that's combustible, and make sure that you have water present, an adult is present, and when you're done, put it out.
And
I know it makes a mess.
Make sure it's out. Absolutely.
Make sure it's out.
It does kind of make a mess, but you know what? It dries in just a couple of days, and then it's ready for another one. So I'm watching Family Feud like I tend to do, and Steve Harvey said 100 women were asked, what's the most admired profession out there? Do you want to guess what number one was?
I want to say a radio announcer.
that is really some funny humor right there. We weren't even in the top 100. Of course, it was being a firefighter was the number one admired profession. And here's the guy in charge of them all, Fargo Fire Chief Steve Dirksen, joining us for Checking In with the Chief. We do it once a month on the Mighty 790 KFGO and 104.7. Chief Dirksen, thank you very, very much. Now, with the vaccine, we're planning on having our style show now this November, and we're planning on you modeling.
Hey, I will start the workout program.
Jeez. You're way ahead of everybody already. Yeah, no. We just want you to come out and have a good time.
No, you can count on me, Dan.
All right. Well, I'll be bringing that up a few more times before we get to November. Steve Dirksen checking in with the Chief on KFGO. Chief, thanks so very much. Hope you have a lovely evening.
Hey, you too, Dan. Thanks a lot.
You bet. Take care. KFGO time is 4:24. You're listening to The Drive on the Mighty 790 and 104.7 KFGO.
You're listening to The Drive with